In right now, Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, a state that was ravaged by Helene. Welcome in, Senator Blackburn. Always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much.
You know, it's heartbreaking for the people who are cleaning up, and then we see sort of this next wave here. It's so frightening, and yet there's all this political angle of it. There's this, misinformation about FEMA and funding. They're sort of using it as a political football. Some of the legacy media is trying to almost scare people, saying Republicans are voting against FEMA, when we know the FEMA was also being used to pay for illegal migrants. What's happening with the actual funding? And tell us how they're really trying to scare people in a very malicious way.
Well, they are indeed. And finally, after a week, I called the White House last Friday to say, let's get all of these county mayors on the phone, do a conference call, and let them know when FEMA is going to show up. Because FEMA is not the first in, it's the last in. It is your local emergency responders, your local fire, water, elected officials. It is your state emergency management, that your National Guard that is going to be there first. And then FEMA comes along. So on last Friday, finally, FEMA did a phone call, laid out what they are going to do. Now, to the misinformation and disinformation, there's a widely circulated story that Republicans voted against FEMA funding, as if there were a FEMA funding bill specific to FEMA on the floor, and there was not. It was a continuing resolution, and in that continuing resolution, you had hundreds of millions of dollars that would have been spent, or that will be spent on illegal aliens. And of course, you're not going to vote for another CR. We need a budget process. It needs to be regular order. We need to hold agencies to account. And right now, we know that the Department of Homeland Security has spent $1.4 billion in this Biden-Harris administration since 2022 on those that are in the country illegally. We also know
$1.4 billion.
780 million.
I mean, these numbers, as we reestablished your shot, these are huge, massive numbers. And then you had Kamala Harris go and say, well, you can apply for $750. So you can understand the outrage coupled with the trauma and the heartbreak of people who are saying, how do I rebuild with $750? You're talking about, and it is not America first, Senator. And that's sort of what strikes at the heart and the core of this. And that's, I know you hear it from the people you've spoke to in Tennessee.
Of course, absolutely. When you look at $1.4 billion plus, you've got this $780 million fund, emergency food and shelter. And I will tell you this, Tennessee is the volunteer state. We are known for that. And Tennesseans have shown up in record numbers to help and to support. And the Bristol Motor Speedway has become the disaster relief point for many of those in Tennessee and also in Western North Carolina. And the Bristol Motor Speedway is disaster relief. It's a command center when a need comes in. People with private helicopters have gone in and rescued people.
That's incredible.
Who could not get out because roads are gone. And it is the people that have shown up first. And this America Last that Kamala Harris pushes, it is insulting to
Senator,
people
I want
that
to
the federal government has. And even this, on Friday, when they said, well, we'll send North Carolina $100 million, they sent $157 million to Lebanon to help with the humanitarian crisis. What about the Tennessee humanitarian crisis? What about North Carolina? What about Georgia? What about South Carolina? Where is the help for them?
To that point, Kamala Harris will stand next to Joe Biden today and give a briefing. It will be about optics because they have given those other, as you said, messages of $157 million. I'm short on time, but I do want to play Kamala on Stephen Colbert, obviously not a journalist. This word salad, when they're talking about, if she were to win, I just want to get your reaction to how she answers this question.
I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of. So when we think about the significance of what this next generation of leadership looks like, were I to be elected president, it is about, frankly, I love the American people, and I believe in our country. I love that it is our character and nature to be an ambitious people.
Showing her love for our country, Senator Blackburn?
I find her conduct on this issue to be absolutely abhorrent. It is not only a word salad, it is the salad buffet. Take your choice of words and how she is going to try to address these issues. Look, in Tennessee, we've got 7 counties that are major disaster counties. North Carolina, Georgia, the list goes on and on. And she cannot bring herself to say anything past she loves the American people. How about getting boots on the ground? How about working with Homeland Security? How about saying, let's make preparations, let's get out here, let's handle this? How about asking the question, why is it that FEMA does not have a protocol that is laid out of exactly how they're going to do this, working with our state emergency management personnel?
You know, perhaps because it's run by Alejandro Mayorkas, too, which cites a lot of the problems here and a lot of the focus. Senator Marsha Blackburn, a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for your time and your comments today.
Thank you.